Welcome to Raw and Real Heart to Heart Conversations. My name is Marjorie Chapman, and I am the owner and founder of Big Bold Love and Love Out Loud Life Coaching. And I am here with my friend Dawn Farley. We have been having conversations once a week for over a year now, and we finally decided it would be a great idea to share it with you. So here we are, and it sounds like both of us are in a bit of a funk, so this should be a great call. It sounds like it's perfectly needed for both of us.
It's perfect. And thank you, Marjorie. And thank you for everyone that's listening. It makes a difference what we speak into.
Yeah.
And first thing is to clean up with you from last week. So what's so from last week is that we didn't have a call, and so therefore there was not a recording. And
There was. I did one.
You did one. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. Super.
There was no. It was a conversation with myself.
Okay. Sometimes we can do those. Yeah, got it. So check that out. Go to our Spotify and see the episodes. Got it. Because we've got a commitment to be in conversation no matter what on Thursdays. Yeah. And I broke that commitment. And I can see where I had so much going on and I was not back in communication with you that, it was a no. Like there was not a way for me to be on without bringing integrity everywhere else too. So I apologize for that. And I know that there's an impact not only on you, but, on me, because man, being in your listening, being in our conversations really makes a difference for us both, and certainly for our listeners. So thank you for picking up the ball and having it, continuing to move it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I missed you.
Missed you too. You had a pretty amazing Thursday last week. I'm looking forward to going back and listening because your son graduated. That was big.
By the skin of his teeth is what I've been saying.
Chinny chin chin. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. He is part of what I've been dealing with. It's like my life is altering. Like I have an adult child.
Yeah.
I have adult bonus children, but I didn't change their diapers.
Yeah.
It seemed natural, they came into my life partway through their life and and then they left again. But this is it's part of my identity, and I'm like really grappling with he's not going to be living in my house anymore.
What is it about that has you?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really, that's where I've been for at least the past 24 hours or so, but, probably for the past couple weeks even, but in the past week, I've really been taken out. And, I keep finding pieces that, make sense. Like, yesterday, realizing how much I was going to miss him. And I realized that mostly in just speaking to him and saying, hey, I'm really struggling with that you're not going to be around all the time, and while I was saying that to him, I didn't realize how much emotion was there. And then it all came up and it's just been coming up since then. And that was, last night. And I know this is just the beginning for him, right? But for me, it's an end. I know it is for him too, but he's he's looking forward. He's already living into that future. But for me, there's a void in that future.
Yeah.
And it would be one thing if that was the only thing that's changing, but like everything in my life right now is changing. Even down to my washing machine broke last weekend and I needed to go get a new one, right? Like,
wow.
So yeah, I think that's what it is. There's a missing.
Yeah.
And I really am so proud of him. School was not his thing. And he made it. And I told him that, I said, listen, your formal education is over. You don't ever have to be in a learning situation ever again unless you choose to be. Like you're free. And he is, he's choosing to go to technical school and he's choosing to learn about gunsmithing. And I have a lot. The pacifist in me has a big issue with that, but it lights him up, and God, if I've done nothing else as a parent, it's been to teach my children to follow, what lights them up. So I'm certainly not going to try to get in the way of that.
Right.
But, it does make me wonder, where his life is going to lead and how much he'll include me in on it. And, I think that's, yeah. So,
I'm really hearing grief.
Yeah.
Like straight up grief.
Yeah, it's been pretty crippling.
Yeah.
And, my brain right now is going like, you can't show up this way on this call. Here you are, you start the call out saying you're a coach, and then, you can't show your humanity like this. But this is it, right? Like everybody, no matter how put together, no matter how much they seem to have their shit together, has their moments, has their days, has perhaps their weeks where, right now it just feels like every molecule in my body is rearranging. I don't know what's up, what's down. I have a whole list of things that I feel like I should be doing and I'm not, and doing my best to not make myself wrong for that.
And you still are, I'm sure.
And of course I am, because, I breathe. As my coach says, I can fog a mirror. So therefore, I'm probably doing that. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you beating yourself up at all for being upset and for having this take you out?
I was, when I didn't know. Like, I think just now in this conversation, one of the things I came to this call hoping for was clarity on what's had me so twisted. And I've done a pretty damn good job of not, of just allowing it. And really, I really feel like that's my learning right now for the past few weeks, couple months, this house search, this, just all of it is training in trusting and allowing and giving it over, right? Like letting go that I'm the one, that I have to have any control over it, that I have to have any understanding of it, whatever it is, all of it. So But it's, it's moving. It's my daughter has this new friend that she just wants to spend her entire time over at her house. And I picked her up yesterday, and she has been asleep since I brought her home. I'm assuming she's been awake during that time, probably while I was asleep. But it's almost 1 o'clock. Nobody's really seen her since about 4 yesterday. We were going to go get burgers last night, and she assured me she wasn't going to fall asleep, and she was asleep. And so I definitely have concern and worry with her, with our relationship, because she hasn't been here. I haven't had our relationship validated because she's just been gone. And I'm glad for her. And I'm probably a little jealous of her. Her friend lives 2 doors down from a pool, and they've just been having fun. And I want that.
And you probably want that with her too.
And I want that with her. Yeah.
And you want her to want to be with you. You guys are best friends.
I do, and right, like I'm thrilled that she's got this friend that seems to just want to spend as much time with her as she does with her, and I'm so happy for her. And yeah, I think it's that I feel like I've lost both my children at the same time.
There you go. There you go.
And I'm always a bit of a mess just with my ADD tendencies. I'm always a bit of a mess at the end of the school year because it disrupts my flow. All of a sudden I have way more, my time, and that doesn't necessarily always work out the best for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, I'll sleep in. And that, coupled with the fact that Dave was unemployed at that time, he started his new job on Tuesday, but like that just added even more, so then he's not even in a structure that, is familiar. Like everything is really unfamiliar right now.
Yep.
And then we've just invited his mother to live with us because her doctor says that she needs to go into assisted living. And so now our house search, I was going to say job search, our house search in Hamburg now includes a first floor bedroom and a first floor bathroom. And so
you were looking for that anyway as an office, but
well, yeah, we were looking for the bedroom part. The bathroom, of course, the bedroom can be turned, can come from anything, right? But the bathroom is a little more of has to be there, right? You can't just fabricate a bathroom out of the living room like you can a bedroom, for example.
Can I want to, if it's okay, if I could contribute something. Nobody wants to go into an assisted living, right? Like none of us want to go into a quote unquote home. However, I witnessed my grandmother, who always felt like a burden, who always felt like nobody could understand her and nobody heard her, and there weren't her peers, and there weren't people that, it was, grandma on her own island and everybody taking care of her and managing her. And I tell you what, she was horrendous. She was horrendous to be around most of my life. We had fun moments, but she was pretty horrendous to be around. And my aunt brought her closer to her house, right? But she brought her to an assisted living home. Mm-hmm. And before I knew it, when my grandmother came to my wedding, which was one of the last times that I saw her, she came to my first wedding, and she was lit up. I mean, I had heard stories of my grandmother being the party girl, everybody wanted Mary to come to her parties because Mary was just a blast to be around. And I was like, who the hell are they talking about? This isn't my grandmother. I have no idea who they're talking about. But all of a sudden, because she was with her peers and she was with people who understood what it was like to grow up in 1925 or whatever the hell age that was, right? Like, she had peers that knew what was going on, and they could sit and complain about their ailments and nobody would be annoyed by it or try to fix it. Like, they were just, they could just bitch with each other and be with each other, together. And
self-expressed.
Yeah, completely self-expressed and not have any, so I was called to share that with you as a consideration to put in as, yeah.
No, I think this move, it feels right to invite her.
Sure.
When Dave and I met, she was living with him, and medically, he didn't think she had very many years to go. We met a decade ago, and early in our courtship, for lack of a better word, we thought that we had lost her, and I really worried what that was going to do to our relationship at the time. It was either going to bring us closer or it was going to split us up, right? Like, we didn't have, we were a sapling, right? We had the baby roots, and I wasn't sure we had the roots to make it through. I still remember one of our very first dates. We were talking. We had met online, and we were talking about what we still hadn't told each other. What don't I know about you? What don't you know about me? And he looked at me and he said very fiercely, "I'm a good son." And I was like, okay, like, good. And he said, "My mother lives with me." And I want to be clear, I do not live with my mother. My mother lives with me. And he was, just shy of 40 at the time. And, pretty good distinction to make sure that he had in place. But that so stuck with me. And for our relationship, she moved out. She didn't, move in with us. When we moved in together, she found another place to go. For which I am eternally grateful. That really was the kindest wedding gift she could have given us. And now, her support system is not able to support her right now. And she's being told that she needs to go into assisted living, and she's on, government money, and government money doesn't pay for that. And, it just seems right for her to come live with us. And I'm trusting that it's going to be good for all of us. It's going to be good for us to be able to be close to her in that way. It's going to be good for my daughter to experience aging. And my father talked about that this week, how he wasn't really hasn't really been around people who aged. Both of his parents were fit until they weren't, until they were gone. And so he doesn't, he's experiencing it with his neighbor that he's been helping out and supporting.
Yeah.
And he talked this week about how in the last year, he really sees a deterioration in him. I mean, I think the man is damn near 90. So, he's allowed. But there is an assisted living place in downtown Hamburg that we walked by. And so, while she now probably shouldn't live alone. She doesn't necessarily need
full-time care.
Full-time care, exactly.
You just need somebody to live with her, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be long. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think, she can, I don't think her body can sustain the way it has been. And it has, like I said, very surprisingly just kept showing up, just kept kicking, she is, and I think being in a family, being able to contribute and learning how to be contributed to, is going to make a big difference for her, and all of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It was funny. I called her, and I just said, listen, I've been doing something for you, and I've created something for your future, and I haven't shared it with you, and I figure I should probably share it with you. I just want you to know, as I'm looking at these houses, I'm evaluating whether or not, you can live in them with us. So I figure maybe I should call you and formally invite you to live with us. And, after a good laugh, just the relief in her voice. Like, the being wanted.
Yeah. Right.
And
wow.
Yeah, this really feels like the right thing. I'm trusting that this is, at least in part of why we haven't found a house yet. The last house we didn't win the bid on, would have been pretty good for her. There was a downstairs shower, so it was walk in, and a downstairs bedroom, and so that would have been good. And there were other things about the house that were okay, but it wasn't everything we wanted.
Yeah, and you guys aren't up for tolerating any longer.
Right, exactly.
Accepting. Yeah. So
the yard was a little small. There was no garage. We're moving to a place with lots of snow. I really, at some point in my life, I want the experience of being able to pull my car into my house and just walk in. Like, I really want that experience.
Glorious. It is glorious. Glorious.
I imagine. I had that in my very first apartment. Like, it was a duplex house, and I had the downstairs, and I had an attached garage. And I loved it. And I did not realize how lucky I was at that point, and that I wasn't going to get it again until I was, 46.
Yep.
I am certainly declaring that will be part of it. So yeah, it's, lots of changes. So just
turning yourself inside out, and, stretching and growing and
trusting,
reshaping, and
trusting it's going to turn out.
I'm gonna claim that I dumped this, because not dumped it like in a bad way, but like, I declared this year #dancing in the unknown, like really dancing with it.
Thanks a lot.
So I'm sorry if I got some of that on you. I mean, yeah. So and I'm pretty powerful, so I very well may have.
You are, yeah. Well, thanks. Now I know who to blame. No.
Yep. Throw it over here. That's all right. I'm good with it. I got no problem with having another play partner and dancing in the unknown, because it's wild out here on the skinny branches.
Well, and that's just it, right? Like, I'm, even with all the turmoil and all the unknown and all the grief and all the changes, there's also a sureness for me. Like, this is the next growth, right? This is me leveling up my life, right?
Yeah.
And that all of it is part of it. And all there is to do is go through it.
Yeah.
Can't go around it, can't go over it, can't skip it, can't fast forward. You know, if anybody watched that Adam Sandler movie, you know, with the, what was it called? Where he had the remote control for life.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the name of it, but yeah.
Didn't go so well when you start trying to skip the hard things. So I've been thinking about that movie a lot recently. Like, you know, every time I wish I could just fast forward and be in Hamburg, you know, already have moved. No, like this is all part of this move, every step of it. So
yeah,
it's all perfect.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and it takes something to go through it.
Yeah. And I think we have a Disney version of what perfect should look like and feel like and be like, right? Like perfect shouldn't feel yucky.
Yeah. Oh, what time is it? It is 1:11. Messages were supposed to be exactly where we are. Channeling spirit.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. So
just open your mouth, whatever comes out.
So just to have it all be in one neat little package. So both my parents got COVID a couple weeks back, like almost 3 weeks now. And Mom was able to convalesce at home, and Dad, he's already got a bunch of health problems, so he was admitted to the hospital, and from the hospital, the only COVID unit that was available in my part of the country, in Carolina, was an hour and a half away from them. And so he's been there for almost 3 weeks now, and he's no longer in the COVID unit. And his hands are really not very functional. He's got a cell phone, but his hands are not really functional, so he can't make phone calls anymore, and he can't really hold the phone anymore. And so last Thursday is that, you know, my vehicle cannot make the trip. My vehicle is not strong enough to make the trip to go up there. And so my ex-boyfriend, the universe, man, provide left and right, provide. He was working up there. He had a job up there. So I cleared my schedule and I went up there with him. And, you know, because he was out of the COVID unit, I didn't think that I would have to make an appointment or anything, you know, to go see him, because, you know, I thought maybe there might be visiting hours. That was the worst case scenario that I thought of. But apparently I needed to actually make an appointment to go up there. So I made an appointment for Friday. And look, it takes something for them to prepare him for a visit, because they have to bring him out. So they need to clean him, bathe him, dress him, right? He's almost 300 pounds. So it takes two of them to do all of this. And he had started to become belligerent, started to become angry at me. And he had stopped talking to me. He would no longer take my calls. And he's got it that it's my fault that he's there. And I can take honor in that, you know, what I tell myself is he thinks I'm that damn powerful that I can actually like keep him there, right? Like that I have some magic powers that I can do something else, when in fact I can't. Like there's nothing that could be done. And he really had it that it was me. And he spoke with my mother, and my mother was in a weak situation as well. And he said, you know, Rosie, you know, I want to come home. And she's like, okay, we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. So he jumped onto that. And then when he spoke with me, he had it that I talked my mother out of it.
Oh, ouch.
Because look, I've set that up. I've been the go-between between the two of them my whole life. I've had it that my dad is a big bully. My mom doesn't stick up for herself. So I've always been between them. I've always been the referee. So it's no wonder that showed up, because that's how it's been, right? Like, it's been me and my mom against my dad most of my life. He's a bully. He's a jerk. He's all these things. So naturally that would show up. And I got it. They brought him out. He wouldn't look at me. I thought maybe if he looked at me, if we locked eyes, he would see the love in my heart. And he wouldn't look at me. And he told the nurse, bring me back inside. I don't want to be out here. I don't want to see her. And the nurse looked at me and I said, I'm not going to force him to do something he doesn't want to do, get him all riled up and upset. And, I'm not going to force him to stay here. And she said, are you sure? And I said, Daddy, I'd really like to visit with you. Please visit with me. And he spoke to the nurse and he said, take me back inside. I don't want to be out here. I don't want to be with her. And she wheeled him back inside. And, there was a few minutes there where I was really devastated. I was like, oh my God, is this the last time I'm going to see my dad? And how horrible. My heart was hurting for him so much that he had it in his heart that his daughter would do this to him. Like, I hated that he thought I'm that awful, that I would intentionally do this to him. And it was breaking my heart that he had that. And I said, well, look, it's just what he's got going on right now. He's protecting. I was upset for a little while. And, I went back to painting, right? Like that, because that's what my ex was doing up there. He was painting a really horrible house, awful house. It's beautiful now. And it was very soothing. Like, it was really awful. It's really beautiful now. But it was very soothing to just be filthy and dirty and not care what I look like or, none of it. And just, wax on, wax off. Like, it was amazing. And we went home Thursday night. I might have the timeline wrong. Yeah. Anyway, we went home Thursday night and my dad called me on my way home and he apologized.
Oh, yay.
And he said, I'm really sorry I did that. I don't know how he came to that. And it doesn't matter how he came to that. I don't know if somebody gave him shit about it or what, and he apologized. He's like, I'm really sorry I did that. And, I regret it. I'm really sorry, but you don't know what I'm dealing with. And he went on to about 15 minutes of complaining what it's been like for him. And I got what it's been like for him. And I also got what it was like for the nurses, because he has really just been, pardon my French, everybody, but a complete asshole to everybody around him.
That's not
He's
French.
been, no, I mean, it's, scatological language. He's been kicking at the nurses. He scoots himself out of bed and ends up on the floor. They got to find a way to pick him up.
Oh,
Like, he's cussing them pretty regularly, and F-bombs. Like, he's been really ugly. And I get that that's their job and they're used to it and whatever. And still, it's not okay. Like, it's not okay. And I said, well, geez, I wonder, my ex was going back up. And I said, can I come with you? I could really use the extra money because I didn't work, and I could use the extra money. And then I'm going to try to see if I have an opportunity to go see him again. So I actually brought the nurses pizza to acknowledge them, like, not to get anywhere, not to do anything, but to just acknowledge them and let them know that, I know what they're going through. And I partially, at least, what they're going through. And I was able to get an appointment and see him on Saturday for a few minutes. That was all he could really be with. It was about 15 minutes. And he was starting to fall asleep sitting in the chair. So they brought him back inside, but I got to hold him. And he was like, wow, that feels really good. I mean, the power of being held. And I mean, not for nothing, but I give a badass hug.
yes, you do.
I mean, yeah. And I told him, Daddy, we're doing everything we can. I promise you. We've got some barriers in our way and I'm doing everything I can to work through them. Mommy's helping me and she's doing better. We're doing everything that we can. to get you back home. And he's like, I'm stuck here. He's like, they're not letting me out of here. They're not going to let me out of here. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, Daddy, but I'm going to do everything I can. And if you think I'm powerful enough to keep you here, I'm just as powerful to get you out. I'm going to do everything I can to do that. So what I've been dealing with all week is technology breakdowns, because I've got to get all this information that my mother has for Medicaid to fill out the application. So I've got to get it all from my mom, and my mom's iPad is breaking down. She can't send me pictures of the images, and like, it's all just, I've got to surrender, man. I keep pushing forward, and we'll find a way, and we'll find a way. And I just got, right before we got on this call, you know, she's trying to send me pictures of these documents, and nothing is working. She can't email them. She can't send them via text. She can't figure it out. Like, she just can't figure it out. And I'm like, wow. And I'm being patient, and I'm walking her through it, and I'm trying to find different ways. And I'm like, everything is just getting tight, and I'm shrinking up, and it hurts, and it's painful. And I'm like, wow, like, okay, I got to let this thing go. Like, I mean, maybe it's going to take, you know, I need to go up there. You know, I think I'm being called to actually go up and be with my mom and do what needs to be done in person. Go be with my mom. Because she's really lonely. You know, she's got my dad. She's had my dad 24/7, 365 for a few years now. This is the first time she's completely alone every day. And it's really taken her something. She's feeling pretty lonely herself. And wow, and I just don't know. Like, dancing in the end, I don't know what the outcome is. I don't know what it's going to look like. We've called numerous places near them, and they're all full. They're all full.
Yeah.
And until we complete this paperwork, he doesn't have a payer source. So it doesn't, you know, they don't like to take people unless they've got a payer source. So until we finish this application for Medicaid, none of that happens. And I made a bold request this morning of the nurses, because he doesn't have a phone in his room. He's only got his cell phone. And like I said, his hands are really, you know, not functioning. And so I made a request to the nurse. I said, would you do me a favor? Just go in his room, turn his, you know, I'm going to call his phone. Would you just answer the phone and put it next to his head? Just put it next to his head. You know, it's one of those little bitty flip phones. So it's even harder, right? It's, you know, and I got to talk to him for just a few minutes, but Marjorie, I can't understand most of what he's saying.
Mm.
He's mumbling. He's not terribly coherent. And like you said, watching aging withering away.
Yeah. Well, and mindset is so powerful, right? And
Yeah.
he has it that he's stuck, right? That he's trapped, that he's not, you know, he doesn't have access to the magic that you create ongoingly.
And I can't create it for him. Like, I haven't found an access to be able to create it for him.
Yeah.
You know, to even recreate him. Like, there, you know, he's wiped out in a 10-minute phone call. And I don't even know that he's understanding me. I don't even know that he can hear me. I don't know. But I just keep telling him that I love him.
I choose to believe that he's getting the communication that is important, right? Like, part of why we do this on video is because, you know, seeing each other is so important. You know, if you do research on how much of communication is verbal, it's a crazy low percentage.
Yeah.
Like, some sources are single digit, like 9%. So I just invite you to trust that the words that come out of your mouth aren't what you're really wanting to communicate anyway. And that all that love and all that I got you, and, you know, all of that is getting across.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you're not on the phone, right?
Yeah, I put a message on Facebook earlier too, because, you know, the power of prayer. And look, we're all energy. Like, we really are all energy.
Yeah.
And I've really got it. And I've really got it that the more energy sent to one place makes a difference. So I know, I mean, I hear all the time, and we probably hear it too, and we, you know, pick on it maybe, that, you know, thoughts and prayers. But there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
Like, my thoughts are of you. My prayers are going towards you. Like, that makes a flipping difference. Just like being in a prayer circle and a group of people, whether you know them or not, send that energy to that person.
Absolutely.
It makes a difference.
I mean, I think where thoughts and prayers are hollow is when there's no other action that goes with them. You know, but you've got all of this action in place as well.
Yeah.
You're pulling out all the stops, and the thoughts and prayers in this case are the icing on top, instead of the making yourself feel better.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, like with the school shootings and things like that, you know, that's where the thoughts and prayers are hollow. It's like, no, that's not, like, action is needed. And that's why people get upset about the thoughts and prayers, because that's all that's happening. Right.
Yeah.
And in your case, it's the reverse. Like, there's all this action, and then it's like, you know what? And some thoughts and prayers could be really, really useful to just tip it all over the, you know, tip it over into where you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the home situation, the messages that I've been getting, you know, recently from Spirit, you know, I've had it that my next move will be to my divine home. Like, it'll be to my divine home. And I better get there fast, right? Because we're on a month-to-month lease right now. Like, I better, right? Like, something. And the messages are: relax, nest now, be where you are now. Because I've been kind of like halfway in, halfway out, and been kind of like, you know, okay, just waiting to move. Like, okay, you know, don't hang anything else, because you're only going to have to take it down and pack it up anyway. Like, don't put anything else up. Don't live. Stop everything until you move into your next house. And so I've been kind of like,
that.
I know, right? I mean, I can
totally
imagine
relate.
this right there for you, because you're like,
especially when it comes to my business.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to grow it because you're moving, you know, you're leaving, and it's, you know, and, you know, fortunately with remote conversations, you know, that can be managed easily. But there's just this, and I got the message the other day, just nest, and you can relocate your nest. Just nest. Be where you are. Make where you are comfortable and safe. And so I hung my angel picture, and I made this little piece of glass art, and I hung it up instead of looking for where I can store it until it can be in its forever home. Like, you know, yeah. And it's going to be what it's going to be. But right now, be here right now.
Just be here right now. Oh, my headset died.
Is that what happened? You sounded different.
Yeah, my little.
But you figured it out. You shared a couple of weeks ago that when it died, it would kill the Zoom.
Yep.
So yay, progress.
Yay. So, I mean, and I've been living my life. You know, that I've been resisting that too, because I'm like, I don't want to get too comfortable, get too homey here, really start to set down roots or, you know, be with my community because I'm leaving. So I've just been, it's been this like half-life.
Right. Then you're not actually living.
No, and I've just been, you know, I've been doing yoga every Sunday at, you know, we have the Whitewater Center that's right here. It's outdoor yoga. Oh, Marjorie, there is nothing like doing yoga under the trees, listening to the birds sing, feeling, I mean, there's bugs around too. And I'm like, yay. Like, it's not like, it's just, I feel a part of and grounded and peaceful. And that's really what's made a huge difference carrying me through, like a huge dramatic difference carrying me through and keeping me grounded. And I'm so proud of myself. Like, yes, there's upsets, there's stuff. I mean, I've got some stuff and none of it's really taking me out. I have moments.
Right.
I acknowledge my feelings. I'm with them. I'm, you know, but there's not like, I don't get taken out by them. Not that I won't ever again. I'm just really noticing that it's like, okay, be with what's there. And what am I telling myself? And I could actually feel myself starting to work myself up when I'm like, oh my God, is this the last time I'm going to talk to my dad? And la, la, la.
Yeah.
It's all future. It's all like, you know, trying to prevent something that there's no way I can prevent it. Like, worry. Be here right now. Yeah.
You said, be here right now.
Oh.
And at that moment, the dog opens the door. She has figured out how to open the door. And
I just called the dog. I love it.
She is here. She is here now.
Hello. I just called the dog.
Our next house is going to have doorknobs, and she is going to be so disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, you want to come say hi?
Tear up the door.
Hi.
Hi. Who is this?
This is Misty.
Hi, Misty. Oh, look at the admiration and love.
She is my girl. I can't go anywhere without her following me.
That's awesome. We are both in such a transition phase in that cocoon to butterfly. You know, it's coming and
sorry, the scientist in me can't step over that. It's not a cocoon to a butterfly. It's a cocoon to a moth, and it's a chrysalis to a butterfly. Okay, continue.
No, really, thank you, chrysalis.
Yeah, butterflies are chrysalises. Oh, here's the other one. Oh, this is Midnight.
Hi, Midnight.
My grand puppy.
Aw.
Okay. Yeah, and the process is different, which is, I think, part of what, you know, why that's important, at least in my head. I'm not entirely, you know, I can't tell you much more. I think I know that in a chrysalis is harder, I believe, and it turns to goo. Like, I mean, talk about molecules rearranging. I mean, like, it is a huge transformation. So there's a science note.
Is it a butterfly that if you open the cocoon, if you open the chrysalis, thanks. I got yeah. That if you open the chrysalis midway, that there's actually like nothing in there. Like, it's literally goo in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a chrysalis. I don't know if it's both or not.
Yeah. But there's really something about that like completely break down and reemerge. Like, yeah. And look, I can see that I've been so afraid to, this is from the gift of coaching that you provided for me. Where this comes from right now. Thank you. I've been so resisting allowing myself to break down because I'm so afraid that I won't be put back together again.
Yeah.
I you know, I don't know what it looks like to, you know, this is a very carefully crafted being, you know, I put intentional puzzle pieces in to have my life work. And like, and guess what? My life doesn't work. Like, my life doesn't work. And I keep trying to do the things that I thought, right. My life doesn't work.
Hold on. I really want to highlight that, because that's not just a you thing.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
We create the thing we're trying to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the craziness that is, human nature. Like, that thing we're trying to avoid is actually what we end up creating.
Yep. Yeah. So I've created break down all the way. Break down all the way. I mean, like right now, I do have somewhere to live and it's tentative, right? I mean, I'm just waiting for my roommate, ex-boyfriend, to come home and be like, all right, well, as of July 1st, I'm done. That could happen. But we have no agreements beyond month to month. We have no agreements. We just need to give 30 days notice. So I'll have 30 days. No matter what, I'll have 30 days. And my vehicle is not, very reliable. I'm waiting for it to do whatever it's going to do and not work for me any longer. And, I got a job, and I do, I did get a little raise. I got a little bump.
Yay!
A little bump. That was lovely. And it's still, I mean, based on my income, the apartment that I would be able to afford would be in not probably pleasant circumstances. I could say that.
You had a trial roommate. Is that still happening, or?
So so she came to visit, and she was lovely. And while she was here, she went out to go get dinner at one point, and I shared this with her when she got back. So, she was lovely. I mean, if I were to craft a roommate, it would have been her. And she left to go get dinner, and I went, whew. I said, oh, uh-oh. I actually don't want to consider anyone else. I don't want to consider anybody anymore. I don't want to worry about how loud I am. I don't want to worry about whether or not, if they're loud, asking them to be quiet. I don't want to care about whether or not my sink is overflowing with dishes. It's my damn dishes to care about. Like, I want to live alone. Be autonomous.
All right.
So
the game is more income then.
The game is more income. And I have this amazing coaching program that, just as all this started with my dad, I'm like, I could really start to look and dig into that, but I'm not going to, because I feel like that's a rabbit hole. But the service industry, like everywhere, you look, you're a coach, right? And in every industry, there is a coach that you can call that specializes in your industry, sales or, anything like that. In regular business world, white collar business world, that exists.
Yeah.
In the service industry, hair, nails, estheticians, massage therapists, things like that. It doesn't exist for them. There is no one-on-one coaching for them. What? I mean, there's mass coaching. There's coaching from manufacturers, right? That, if you buy their products, they'll come give you coaching. There's, like online stuff, but it's all about marketing. It's not about actually getting with what is it that you're doing in your business and what isn't working and having that work. I'm masterful. I have 25 years in the service industry to provide that for people, to give them that listening, to have their business be what they want it to be. I mean, if it's marketing, great. There's plenty of people out there that do marketing. Here's 3 people that I recommend that I think you would go great with if it's marketing is in your space. But that's not it. Once you get the people to your space, what do you do with them? How do you manage them? How do you manage your clientele? How do you manage your conversations? How do you manage your money? How do you manage your inventory? Any of that. I do that. I can do that. And I know the listening of service providers. So I was one for 25 years. So, that's where I've been crafting, a curriculum for what that's going to look like.
May I offer something?
Please.
Start a groups coaching, just group coaching and just get the word out. And from there, then you can invite people to do something more curriculum oriented but there's so much power in just getting everybody in the same space and coach them one-on-one in the group and invite everybody just to listen from how is what they're coaching about. How does that pertain to me?
Yeah. Like in our programs.
Right.
Participate.
I mean, when I do group coaching, I charge $30 a session for a 3-hour session. And, some people never talk, but they still go away with value because they've gotten all of that coaching that you did with everybody else.
Right.
So, that's potentially, a couple $100 if you do it once a month, a couple $100 in one go, depending on how many people you have there.
Yeah.
And then from there, somebody may approach you and say, hey, I'd like to coach with you one-on-one. Then you create that.
Brilliant.
But starting at a price point that everybody can afford, at a time commitment that everybody can afford, is a great place to start.
Yeah, because hair professionals are pretty ADD as a whole, and probably 90 minutes would probably be the the longest to keep their attention and provide them value in that space. And really great.
And I can sit with you and talk about how I structure mine and what.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I've been, I have to wait until I do this, and then I have to wait until I do that. And you know what? It's all here.
You can start this in June.
Yeah, I have everything I need. And I've got a weekend coming up that's, fairly open for the most part. And, that's my, because look, what I have to share will make a real difference for people. Really make a difference for people.
Yeah.
Because look, when I coach hair professionals and service providers, when consumers go partake in that, that's what's provided to them. So for me, it's not about the hair provider or the service provider. It's actually about for their clients and making sure that they, really having that. And I really want hairdress, service people in general to be lit up about what they do. And I haven't talked to one in quite a while that are actually lit up. They're enduring, they're surviving, they're, most of them, they're making it work. And they're leaving by the droves right now.
Yeah.
More they're just like, I can't handle this. I'm going to go do something else.
My quarter buddy is also a hairstylist in Asheville. So I can connect you with him too.
Perfect.
He was talking about starting coaching, but he's trying to perfect it all before he launches it, instead of just launching it and creating it as he goes. So he may be a good partner for you as well. And it will help light a fire for him too, because let's do that. He's in his perfectionism.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I can see where, I've got old stories from the past when I, educated and, was like, I got backed myself into a corner and didn't know what to say or do. And I've so moved through that.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers. You do.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing is you don't have to.
Right.
A good coach has no answers. A good coach only has questions.
Brilliant.
And that's, oh my gosh, like it's so freeing as a coach to just be listening for what the question is to ask instead of trying to figure anything out. And there are times as a coach where what they're dealing with and what I've lived are just so in sync that I'm like, okay, let me just share about what happened to me. This is what I did, take it or leave it. I don't ever bring it up again. I offer it.
Right.
I announce that it's advice, but 95% of the time I'm just asking questions.
Brilliant.
And,
Yeah.
listening for, what's important.
Yep.
Just like you listened and heard grief. And that just, yeah.
Yeah, I've been gifted with the listening, and I've trained it and honed it. And
Exactly. You're the one.
I'm the one.
You're the one. And they are hungry for what you have to provide. And
Yep.
just like, I coach parents for the children, you coach hairdressers for the clients, right? Like, I totally get that.
Yep.
Awesome. So, but on the line, what actions will you have taken by our call in a week?
Oh, by our call in a week. So I will have 3 topics to create group coaching calls with. I will have reached out to 5 different hair professionals that I would love to have on that group coaching. And I'm already seeing that, like, the first 3, I would really like to be like maybe $15 per person, to get it rolling and, to see how that all goes. And, yeah, so 3 things. Those are my 3 things.
Nice. Will you have one?
5?
I didn't ask for any number.
Okay.
Will you have something on the calendar?
Yes.
Because, inviting somebody to a someday something is very different than inviting them to a specific, here's the XYZ of it.
Yep. $15 for 90 minutes. Okay. And a date on the calendar.
Awesome.
Okay.
And I suggest $20 for 90 minutes.
Okay.
And just feel it out. See which one feels right. You'll know.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.
Because, yeah, you talked about this a couple weeks ago, at least a couple weeks ago.
And then everything went down with my folks. And I took an amazing course that would have been, the value was almost like $1,200 class. But this particular coach, I had worked with him when I worked for a manufacturer prior. And I worked with him, and he teaches you how to lead, not teach. Like, right. And to be out of that manufacturer mindset and to have it be clean, and just, whatever business that you're in, here's how to facilitate learning. And he specifically did it. And here's what was wild, Marjorie, blew my mind. He charged it $15 for 3 days from 8 until 1 every day, Friday,
Wow.
Saturday, Sunday, $15. Now, here's what I expected. What is typical? When you charge that amount, people aren't enrolled, right? They're kind of half in, half out. I expected by Sunday at noon, the class was over at 1. I expected by Sunday at noon to have half the people on the call, if that, and that was a lot. We started with 750. We ended with 680.
Wow.
No joke. And even the last 5 minutes of the call, there was still hundreds on the call. Hundreds. Nobody wanted to hang up. Nobody wanted to hang up. Talk about pulling it towards them. Holy crap. Totally knew the value. And I have all of that training.
Nice.
Everything he was saying, I'm like, yep, I do that. Yep, I do that. Absolutely. I'll be doing that. I'll be putting that in. He's an amazing coach. So I got refreshed in facilitating.
Nice.
It's perfect.
Awesome. And, why don't you, if it will support you, let's make a date to talk in the next couple of days, so that we can really create that heart-centered,
Yeah.
hairstylist support.
Yep. Writing that down. I love you, my friend.
Mm. I love you too. And I'm just so present to, oh my gosh, the value. Like, I don't even know if you're really, there's so much juice in this call. I mean,
Yeah.
from even just, I keep thinking of you and your dad, right? And how often we think we know why somebody did whatever they did, or like you saying that you just wanted him to know how much you love him, and that he didn't, you didn't think that he saw that, right? And gosh, I just invite everybody listening, I invite both of us to look at, who have we pegged? Who do we think we know exactly what's going on? And, give it up.
Yep.
Nobody knows what's going on in somebody else's life.
Mm-mm.
I mean, hell, look at me. I barely know what's going on in my own life. Like, how can we know what's going on in somebody else's life if we can't even figure it out, for ourselves often?
Yeah. All right. So I've got a meeting at 2.
Have a fantastic rest of your day. And yeah, let's talk soon about your group coaching. And I can't wait to update everybody on it next week.
Yeah,
Yay!
me too. And embrace those new young adults and and what it looks like for you to be a mom in a new way.
Exactly. Yeah. And what comes to mind right now is I can have a conversation with them and actually create it.
Yep. Create a knowing. Create a
Action.
Actions. I love it. Mwah.
Yeah.
I'm a girl.
Love you.
Love you too.